Well, here I am at home in self-isolation, day 2 actually. I have my husband working in the lounge. He set up his office there. I've got the children busy. One of them is helping me. Thank you, Ben. One is doing his schoolwork. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to just do a few little tutorials. Last year, 2019, I went to the Auckland Bakers cake show and I did a vintage cupcakes class for some lovely ladies. Now we ran out of time. We did a little umbrella and some roses and a bow and a cameo, and we didn't have time to do the bow and the cameo. So I thought I would show you today, if you're interested, as well as them, how to do the vintage bow. So this one here is the bow. It's quite a pretty one. It's got, instead of one loop on each side, it's got 2. So it's like a double bow. So I thought we'd try that today. I'll show you how to do it. So I have my gum paste or florist paste rolled out already by my pasta machine to the second thinnest setting. Now my paste I make myself. It's adding Tylose powder and a few other things to fondant, but it makes it quite stiff. This one here has been made a few weeks ago, and so it's firmed up quite a lot. It's quite dry, and I kind of like it like that because when you make the loops to your bow, they'll stay propped up already. You won't have to use a lot of stuffing. I have got some tissues here which I'll use to stuff them up to make them all nice and puffy, but they should be all right actually on their own. So what we'll do first is we'll cut this piece into some strips. So I have here my trusty, it's a FMM ribbon cutter, and it's set to 1.5 inches wide, and I'm going to use this to get the exact width. So all you have to do, this one actually arrived broken, so the little knobby thing there doesn't work anymore. I can still use it though, so it still works. So I'm just going to hold quite tightly to keep those 2 discs together to cut the exact width. So we're just going to run the length of the paste, and I might even get another one in there. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. I'm going to pull away the surplus and just make sure I haven't got any shaggy edges. These are really quick and easy to make, but they're quite effective, especially on a decorative cupcake like what we've got here. Always keep your spare paste covered up. So I just run my fingers along the edges because we want a really nice sharp edge. So I'm thinking we probably will only use one of these strips. So what I have here are my instructions. I just thought I'd give you a quick tip. Whenever I make anything, even if I think it's not going to work out or not, I always write down on a piece of paper what I'm doing, the exact length, the width, if it's a flower, how many petals, how thin, how thick, what sort of veiner I use on them. I always write it down. So when I came to make this bow again today, all I had to do was flick through my folder and get the instructions out. I always forget in between, like the gap in between when I first made it and when I need to make it again is usually quite large, and I can't remember. You might have had that problem too. So I've got all my instructions here. I just have to refer back to them again. It's quite handy. So I know I have to cut 3-inch long strips, and I need to do 4 of them. This one here seems to be a bit wide down here, so I'll just chop that off. So we'll do 1. Pull that away. 2. 3, and I'll need to take one from this strip. 4. Covering up all the remnants. Alright, so what we need to do with each strip is taking the end piece between your thumb and your index finger, we're just going to gather that a little bit, or concertina it, give it a push, do the other end, and then push it together. Just like that. And you'll need to do that to each piece we've got here. Gather it, squeeze it, gather it, just roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're trying to give it that fabric look. So that's 2 done. And notice they're holding their shape quite well, they're not flattening out. Gathering, pushing together, gathering again, squeeze. That's 3, and the last one. And squeeze together. All right, so I've got my 4 pieces. Now we're going to insert on the left hand side of this bow. The bottom one's going to slip inside the top one, just like that, and I'm going to squeeze it together. This paste is really easy to use, it's almost like Play-Doh. And on the right hand side, so we've got the bottom into the top, going to have the top into the bottom. And the reason we do this is just to give it a little bit of interest. We don't want each side to be the same. Okay, so now we've got each half. In the middle, we might just trim that off a little bit. It can get a little bit too bulky in the centre. So push that together. Give it a little bit of shape. Now at this point you might need to put in some tissues. So I have some here. Don't get the scented ones. You could use kitchen paper. I use tissues because it's a little bit, you can scrunch it up a bit easier. So these are unscented. And we'll just give it a little bit of support while it's drying. I'm going to turn that round to face me. And one piece in there holds up both loops. Another piece down the bottom here. That one wants to come out. That one. It's got a good shape. Now we need a piece to go across in the middle. So we had some scraps left over. This one will be fine. Cut a rectangle that's a little bit too long. It's going to have to wrap around the centre and tuck underneath, so I'll be guessing about that much. Now sugar glue, we need to attach it onto our bow using sugar glue. On YouTube I have a little tutorial on how to make sugar glue. It's really easy, so feel free to have a look at it, and that's how I make it. Bit of glue across the front. Put our strip on, flip it over carefully, some glue on the back. You could also put the glue on your strip, so it doesn't really matter. Flip it back over, then I make sure it's all in place and I set it aside to dry. I would probably do it overnight. And in the morning I would put a dollop of royal icing on the back, and then I would place it on top of my cupcake and it would look like that. So it's got that fabric look and it's got the vintage style too. So there you go ladies, that's how you do a vintage style cupcake bow. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to ask, please contact me on lesleematsiscakes.com and I'll be happy to write back to you. Thank you so much for watching.